we're all sitting here saying, but why isn't Sandro Tonali playing? You've got, a top midfielder there sitting on the bench, played 2 90 minutes for Italy.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the NUFC360 podcast. With us this week is Stephen, Jack, and Ryan. Don't care how you are, boys. I assume you're all very well and very depressed, much like myself, after the season so far. We're going to go into, first of all, I'm sorry to mention the F word, but we're going to talk about Fulham and unpack what went wrong, because not much went right. I mean, who wants to kick us off with their opinion on what happened? I mean, we can go for the first goal if someone wants to take.
Let Stephen get his 5 minutes out of the way now. And
I need some percentages to make me feel better, Stephen. Come on, give me some XG.
Give us some hopeful,
there are no statistics I can give you that will balm that pain. It was just crap, wasn't it? I mean, at the moment, I'm just refusing to acknowledge that the men's team exists. I'm just a Newcastle United women's fan at the moment. They at least know how to, not make terrible mistakes and play like utter arse for 90 minutes. I think it's the result I think we've all seen coming. I think is the best way to surmise it. We've played like crap all season long so far. We've not started well, and the one game where we did start relatively well, we stopped playing well against Wolves and went back to being rubbish. It's just this, whether or not, where you assign the blame for it, where you assign the causation for it is up to you. There's all sorts of different ways in which you could probably say, oh, there's little things here and there that are making things worse or helping cause all the problems. But fundamentally, everything we've known about this team for the past 2 years has gone. We don't press high at the moment. Well, it's not like we don't have the personnel. We have a fitter team now than we did at almost any point last season. So we should be able to press more than we are. We're not attacking well unless your name's Harvey Barnes, but even then, it's unsustainable to rely on him to score a worldie or score beyond, sort of overperform which he is very, very slightly. We're not defending well. We're giving up too much space in between the lines. Individual errors are causing problems. Nick Pope's he's making some okay saves, but then he's making a bunch of mistakes at the same time.
I've never seen him. He's the biggest concern for me individually. I've never seen him just parry so many shots away, like a Hollywood.
He's just not grabbing anything. He's not catching anything.
It looks like a FIFA keeper having a glitch. When it trickles on, there's so many opportunities where he can hold the ball, and he typically is quite good at that. He's trying it over the bar or pushing it out for a corner.
I think the problem is he's still a good shot stopper, but you had that confidence when he first arrived, didn't you? I mean, I know he's been a bit sketchy the last couple of games.
We've seen him play much better. Like up until the point at which he was injured last season, he was playing well. He's never been I don't think anyone is under the illusion that he's anything remotely beyond awful with his feet. But historically, he has been a really good shot stopper. Agreed. And very dominant in the air. Like you say, Mark, being able to come out and claim stuff high. He's a big guy. He's always historically been really good at claiming crosses, just holding onto the ball and keeping it safe. And then, as rogue as he always is with it, he has historically been a really good sweeper in terms of just clearing it, not necessarily coming and playing with the ball. And it's just, I think, like the rest of the team, there's just something missing. There's something that's off. There's no one player in the team outside of Barnes who you can say is playing well or playing with confidence. Even the guys who normally play through bad form well, like Bruno, have been awful.
Well, with that then, Jack, who do you think the fault lies at then? If the whole, because I think we're all in agreement, everyone bar Barnes is playing terribly. Where's this blame going to be laid at?
To be honest, I'm actually going to disagree on Pope. I think Pope saved us some points this season. I think if you look at the save at the end of the game against Wolves, don't think Dubravka saves that. Don't think many of our keepers save that, to be honest.
Outrageous.
I know. Sorry, I know you do love Dubravka. I like Dubravka as well, but he wouldn't have saved that because it was diving to his right, and he can't dive to his right anymore. So
that is a sad fact. Yes, he can't dive to his right anymore.
But no, actually, I see what people are saying, but I think that Wolves game, he saves us the win at the end from that save from Cunha. I think it's Tottenham. He saves us at 1-1. I know he was at fault for the first goal. He was, but he did pull off that ridiculous save to stop Maddison's shot. Again, don't think many keepers in the Premier League are going to save that one. To be honest, that was flying at the top corner. He pushes it away, then we win the game. So I actually think Pope, despite not being at his best, has saved us some points this season. I think, again, looking at Newcastle overall, it's hard to know what's going wrong, really. I mean, obviously you can put the blame at Howe, of course you can. But also, just how many of our players are just not playing well? Like Isak, what has happened to him? Like, I had him in my fantasy team, I was like, he's going to be second top goal scorer this season easily. He's not, is he? He's not going to. He scored one goal this season, which is he couldn't miss. I mean, I would have scored that. I think anyone in this chat would have scored that. But another thing I think with Isak is that we've not created any chances for him. Like, I can't think of a chance we've created for him at all.
I was just about to say that we haven't. We're not making chances at the same time. But there's no. Isak, I mean, he'll make the occasional run, but there's no intensity in the press from him. It doesn't just, it comes from the front three. Gordon as well. I mean, how many times have we said, there just doesn't seem to be that effort there from Gordon, and it's just concerning, isn't it? It's just a worrying trend, and it was coming. We were on the podcast last week, Mark, and we said, it's a Newcastle fan podcast, and all three of us said Newcastle weren't going to win the game because you just don't have any confidence in them at the minute. And I think, we're in a lucky position that we're actually sitting on 10 points after 5 games.
Fulham are a decent. They're a decent team. They're a decent Premier League team. That is their level. That is their level.
Mid at best. Like when they came in 12th, and the players
win all their points. But Newcastle have had a really good record at Craven Cottage in the last 6 years, probably. We usually win there pretty much every time we play there. So it was just so disappointing. But as I say, as we've just said, it was coming, wasn't it? It just felt like it was coming. You can't keep playing badly and then relying on worldies or deflections. Because let's be honest, against Wolves, we weren't going anywhere. And then Cher just hits a hopeless shot. It was going straight out of the keeper, and it hits Craig Dawson's head and flies in the top corner. And then Barnes does what Barnes does. Like, that's what Harvey Barnes is going to give you in the games. If you give him the space to cut inside from the left, he's going to find the top corner or the bottom corner very often because that's his game.
I think the trouble that we've got at the minute is nobody knows with a certainty now going into the City game. We'll not move on to that just yet, but I don't think anyone knows our best team. I don't think Howe knows who the best, who should start in almost every position. Every time he's changing things and the players that he's changing. For example, I'll go for the first goal. I don't know what your guys' opinion on Kelly is, but I've never seen a defender who does not want to put a tackle in, ever. He never, ever. I've never seen him tackle anyone yet. He stands off and he stands off and he stands off and he stands off. Ball goes in, and then Shah and Byrne do nothing. And Pope's got no chance of saving the shot. So I think the last part of the blame would go to Shah and Byrne not getting tight enough. But that ball should not have gone in. There were plenty of men on the left-hand side to defend that and put a tackle in, and he just doesn't. And I also think that. But yeah, it was crap. It was so easy.
Tame. Yeah, it was so tame.
And the striker had enough time. Was it Jimenez? Who had enough time to chest it down, it bounced as well, to then turn and it was just weak all round. And that sort of epitomizes where we are as a team. They say no intensity. I don't think we've got shape anymore. The amount of times you'll look at the midfield and someone's got the ball and there's no options anywhere on the right-hand side, on the left-hand side. I don't know where the players go. They just disappear.
Them patterns of play have gone. And I think the problem is it's just like, how many times are you going to keep throwing, just hoping and hoping and hoping it's going to work and you're going to pull out a good performance? Maybe, look, Eddie Howe knows football better than me. I'm not saying that, but maybe it is time for a change of system, or maybe there's certain decisions which, we're all sitting here saying, well, why isn't Sandro Tonali playing? You've got, a top midfielder there sitting on the bench, played 2 90 minutes for Italy, the week before. And why is that, is he needed to be better back into the team? It's rubbish. He needs to play.
One of the things that makes it even more confusing as well is that this is the midfielder that last summer Howe basically pinpointed and said, "This is my guy. This is the guy. I want him above anyone and everyone." And yet he's back. He looked sharp against Forest. When he has been on the pitch, he's looked like the sharpest midfielder we've got, and yet he's not starting. And I think that's it's baffling when we're not playing with the intensity. Tonali can come on and provide some intensity with his running. We're not stringing passes together. He has the ability to pass better than anyone in the side bar maybe Bruno, but even then that's arguable. And he's a good defensive midfielder. So why we're not getting him into the side to help shore ourselves up, and then like we say, change the shape or something. There was I saw there was a post on the Newcastle United page on Reddit. Someone pointed there was a post on Twitter from back in 2023, the end of last season, from an account called the Premier League Panel that does like tactical analysis of teams. And it's been a trend so far this season, and it was a trend multiple times last season with this flat midfield three that we've got. And we've been saying it for a while that when you get behind our midfield, there's acres of space normally to run into, and you get to run directly at a pair of really, really bloody slow centre backs. Teams have figured out that if you can bait our press forward, particularly Bruno, all you need, like Fulham showed it really, really well. You bait Bruno forward and you get runners into half space in behind him. You just hammer balls into that space and you've got a back four to run at. There's no structure. Well, unless we have a lights out number 6 who's going to sit in that role and clean up those passes and close those guys down, that's going to keep happening. Teams have figured out how to play against us when we're playing well. They know how to get through our system, and we're not playing. We're about as far from playing well as we can be. We're playing arguably out the worst football in the league outside of Everton right now. And if we were talking about, make a joke about me using numbers a lot at the start of the show. At the moment, if you go by our underlying numbers, we're anywhere from about 13th to 16th in the league in terms of depending on what data source you look at. So we are, as at this moment, outside of some lucky goals and a bit of overperformance in terms of preventing some goals from some good saves from Pope, we are a couple of unlucky moments away from being in the relegation zone.
Absolutely.
And we deserve to be there right now.
Yep.
And at the moment, when we heard from the club at the start of the season, before the start of the season, like all the journalists that we know about, we're talking about the club's aiming for Europe. And we agreed at the start of the season when we did our Premier League sort of table predictions. For us, we have a squad that we know when it's playing well can beat pretty much anybody in the league, apart from maybe City, maybe Liverpool, because we've had a bit of a hoodoo with them. We should have been, in an ideal world, aiming to be top 4, top 6 sort of area, competing for those sorts of spots and getting late into a cup. I don't see us getting anywhere near that at the moment. And at the rate it's going, the lack of intensity, the poor performances, the lack of really any sort of inclination that it's getting better. Like, we're not really, the only thing we tried was switching to a double pivot against Fulham, and we still managed to screw that up eventually. At the moment, we don't really want to talk about it too much. We've talked about it outside the show, off the air a bit. If it keeps going the way it's going, you can't expect Howe to be in the job for the rest of the season.
That's the big thing, because now I think we mentioned it, now there's no injuries. Now we've got basically a full squad, minus Callum Wilson, but you don't expect him to ever be in the squad. It has to fall on Howe, and I think he's the right man for the job. He's been the best manager I can remember since Sir Bobby, and I really like him. But when I'm not seeing, in my opinion, the right people chosen to start, and more worryingly, we can't make a new system to work. Everyone's talking now about City losing Rodri, and the big thing saying, well, Pep will just find another way to win. He will change the system, accommodate that he doesn't have this player again, and they'll go on and win. And I get that he is a level above everyone, but that's what the big managers do. That's what the best managers used to do. Like Ferguson would have done the same. And right now, the flat midfield is not working. And it's to an extent where it's very, very worrying that nothing seems to be going right. Again, the only good thing is that Harvey Barnes is showing that he's worth the money we paid for him. But I dread the weekend. It's one of the matches the match I hate the most all year is the Etihad away, and the second one I hate the most is this Man City at home.
You've got nothing to lose. I mean, I think sometimes you
apart from 6 points.
6 points, yeah, I know that, but I mean, you're expected to lose. That was more what I was meaning. Newcastle tend to sometimes be better in these games when they're up against it, and they're expected not to have a lot of the ball. I think the problem that we're having is when they're games where we're expected to be on the front foot and we're expected to have a lot of the ball, we're not good enough to play through teams. And it's almost becoming more like watching Man United, where it's just side to side, knocking it out, knocking it back. There's no real, we're lacking that creative spark in midfield. And again, that's where it probably turns back to Tonali. But what you're saying about Howe, Mark, I think he obviously deserves the time. And you can point it at so many factors, and that's the problem. You can't pinpoint it. You can look at transfer activity. You can look at backroom staff changes. Are players demoralised that there was no new players brought in? Is how simply have they simply just got to a point where they can't get any more of these players? Like they've overperformed for some of them for the last 2-3 years now, ever since the takeover. And maybe it's just it's motivation, it's whatever. We don't know, right? But it needs to improve, and you can't just keep doing the same thing over and over again and expecting results. And you would think there would be a lot of work going on in the training ground to try and fix the problem.
One of the things, I mean, you mentioned maybe not getting any more out of the players than what we've already had. I think that the idea that we have a squad that's now going to be overperforming if we do well is not quite what we should be thinking of. We have the base of it. Sure, there's areas of the team that definitely need improvement. We know this. We talked about it in the summer and everything. Like right wing, right centre back. We need a better keeper in the long term and all that sort of stuff. But at the same time, like we know this about other managers, right? Particularly ones who have intense systems. You look at an example, Pochettino at Spurs, right? And you look at throughout Pep's career, we talked about how good like Pep being a level above everyone. One of the things that Pep has routinely done throughout his time as a manager is when players stop sort of receiving the message properly, when they stop sort of following his instructions to the letter and working to the level he wants them to work, they get moved on. You look at like David Alaba at Bayern Munich, for example, they didn't want to keep him. You look at like some of the players they cycle in and out, and they've City have sold players when it reaches sort of the end of the line in terms of the message staying fresh for them, and we haven't been able to do that. One, because we can't sell unless it's a younger player that we want to keep anyway, and at the same time, obviously, Howe's not at the level of Pep Guardiola that he can. Pep Guardiola is single-handedly driving the tactical direction of a lot of the football that we know, and a lot of teams follow him. And in that sense, like obviously, like Howe's not at that level, and there will come a point at which we do ask. I mean, like Ryan, you mentioned that there's a lot of other stuff going on in the background. Teams make changes at manager, or teams make changes to get a fresh message in and fresh impetus in, and at a certain point, ultimately, the responsibility of the performances comes down to the manager. I think we all obviously we've all, like Ryan and Mark, you've both said, like we all love Howe. Howe's done an amazing job overall since he's been here. I think where was it? We're tied for 5th in terms of points taken in the Premier League since he joined, which is incredible from considering what we're used to over the years. But we're no longer at a point where we need to be worrying about relegation every season. We can realistically have ambitions for better than that. And when it stops working, naturally the questions will eventually come. This is assuming, though, that the performances don't get better. I don't see them getting better because we've had no inkling of that. We've seen no flashes, really, outside of some wonder goals and that have come out of nowhere.
The problem is, Stephen, though, we're still sitting on 10 points after 5 games. So as much as we can sit here and we can criticise the performances, which we can, the table doesn't really lie. And we've had as good a start as we probably could have had, really, in terms of last season's horror start. We've had 5 winnable games, let's say. Maybe Tottenham at home was the pick of the lot. Again,
always winnable at home, Tottenham.
Always winnable away from home. Exactly, yeah. So
when we go there, that's the issue.
I think right now there shouldn't really be any immediate pressure on him. I think he's earned that time.
Oh no, maybe not. I'm not saying like sack him now. I just think. You say the table doesn't lie. I disagree. I think the table does lie. I think we do flatter to deceive with terms of our points total.
Oh, we're definitely flattering. I think we still have the points on the board.
We do, and that stops us having the optics of being in the relegation zone or near the relegation zone, which does help. But ultimately, we want to be a club, right, that's data led and makes lots of smart, intelligent moves like the top clubs do nowadays. But you can't perform the way we do for very long, especially when you have ambition as a club of being in European qualification sort of areas and being in the latter stages of the cup. And we have the points on the board for now, but with the way that the performances are going, we've now lost. That will be a hit to the morale in the squad. We're probably going to lose to Man City if we're being realistic. Obviously,
outrageous.
What
are you talking about?
How many bad results? Yeah. How many bad results or how many losses will it take before we start to see some kind of
the form we're in? We could easily lose. We could easily lose the next 5 in the form that we're in and the way we've been playing.
That's the thing. We had a nice fixture list. I think to start the season. I think everyone looked at it was like, you know what, we've had a lot worse starts in the past.
We've got a hell of a run coming.
Yeah, exactly. We're playing Brighton at some point.
We've got City at home. Wimbledon at home in the cup, which I'm not marking that as anything at the moment. Everton away, and we've had some
win.
Yeah. But then we play Brighton, who look like they're playing really good football. Chelsea are starting to round into form.
And
Arsenal are they're Arsenal. They're the second best team in the league. Like they're probably going to beat us. Forest will probably Chris Wood will score a hat trick against us, I'd imagine.
Yep.
Back Forest have had a good start of the season. They look like they've got a plan.
They beat Liverpool.
But they look like they've got a plan when they play. Like,
he's definitely got
back defensively.
Nuno win.
Yeah,
and then
Nuno
win. Yeah, but no. Obviously, I think Howe even said it himself after we beat Tottenham. He said, yes, we've won, but again, the performance is how he's going to judge the team, and the performance wasn't good enough. And yes, again, we won. I don't even know how we won that game, but we did. It's the same with every game. I think the Southampton game, everyone was a bit like, well, we're down to 10 men. We'll take it no matter what. The other wins, they've been very much like, I don't really know how we've won that. I mean, Wolves are not a very good team. They're going to be fighting relegation.
I had them for relegation this season.
Yeah, they're going to be fighting relegation.
Tottenham will always beat Tottenham at home. I think like that. They're awful. They flatter to deceive massively in terms of style, and the shots they take, barring an own goal, I think a 2-0 win would have been perfectly fine for the way that we played them.
They dominated the game in the sense of the possession, but if you actually look at the shots they had, I think Pape Matar just kept banging it in from 25 yards out, and that was like it was
Dyche ball. We played Dyche ball against Tottenham, and it worked.
Yeah, I was just in possession.
Maybe that's what we need to do. Maybe we just need to play Dyche ball. Just hoof it constantly. Let Gordon, if he decides he wants to run today, run onto it, and Isak won't do anything because he's the laziest bugger in the world at the moment.
Yeah, apparently. Well, I've got some good news circling around in the news for everyone that there are 3 players up for contract renewals, and Eddie Howe's very keen to keep them on board. I want to get your thoughts on, I think it's Fabian Schär, Sean Longstaff, and Dan Burn, where the spine of the team.
3 Musketeers.
That many people would say.
I'd give Schär a new contract, 100%.
How long do you give him? A couple of years?
2. A year, just another year. Sure, he wouldn't. The plan wouldn't be him not to be a starter next season. I think maybe we're getting to the point where Schär's not a starter anymore. But for £3 million, what we spent on him, I think he's probably been one of our best Premier League centre backs ever, and I don't think that's really a stretch, to be honest.
Yeah.
So and also he's always got that moment of quality in the final third. In the final third, I don't know why. Apart from when he got in the box against Fulham, I don't know what happened there. But usually he's got a moment of quality in him. Again, he would not be my starting centre back next season at right centre back.
Mark Gahey.
Something's gone wrong again.
I'm going to start banning words and players. You can't say Mark Gahey in this podcast anymore.
You can't say Mark Dubravka.
I'll take it. Yeah.
No, you can keep saying Dubravka. So, Schär, I'd give him a new contract. Burn, I don't know, squad player.
Honestly, I'd give each of them another year.
Squad player, but
Longstaff I'm fine with. Give Longy a good 2-3 years again. He is your donkey in the midfield. Everyone needs one,
Yeah, I mean, realistically, he's what? If you're looking at the team sheet, he's what? He's player number 16 and 17 in the team sheet, right? I wouldn't mind if he got an extra 2-3 years, but we have. Realistically, we need to refresh the squad. We know we need to do that. We now have a summer's spend that hasn't been spent that we can now push back into other windows. We want more investment into the midfield, into the central defense, right? We don't expect Burn to be starting from. I would give each of them maybe Longy 2 years. I'd give Burn and Schär an extra year. They're both over 30. You can't keep, if you're not competing for a title now, you shouldn't be having loads of players who are in the very late 20s or early 30s playing regularly, which we do, unfortunately.
It all comes back to this, I guess, how valuable the dressing room and these characters and these leaders in the dressing room. And it's obviously an important factor, but there has to get to a point where, if we want to move forward, some of these guys have got to go. I like I say, I agree with all the rest of the lads. I would give all three of them new deals, but I wouldn't be putting them on Almiron style contracts like we did, 3.5 year deals. Shaw would go on a 1 year. The only benefit I think of Longstaff getting a new deal is if you do look to sell them, then you're not letting them go for free, and you make a bit of money off them in terms of the homegrown status and all that sort of stuff. I'm not getting into FFP, but that's one benefit of I hate that word. One benefit of keeping Longstaff, and again, I think Shaw's still good enough to play Premier League. Maybe not at his best level, but like Jack says, you would hope someone would come in next summer.
Agreed. It's the stark contrast. If we took the day from the takeover to now and showed everyone, we're going to be renewing these guys' contracts, but what the hell has happened? A lot.
Where's Mbappe?
Yeah. What's Vinicius Junior gone?
Where's Neymar? Where's Philippe Coutinho? Where's all the guys we were linked with when we got taken over?
Coutinho and Koulibaly, wasn't it? They were the two.
Well, we dodged a bullet there, didn't we?
Dodged a load of bullets.
Before we wrap up, we're going to go, obviously, this weekend, we've already kind of mentioned the looming doom that is the giant chunk of plastic of Manchester City on its way to bore the hell out of everyone. Score predictions, team predictions. Ryan, what's your thoughts? Any hope? Give me some hope.
I think in terms of the side, I don't know how may go with Longstaff. I also feel how may go with a Miggy or a Murphy. And I think how may go with a Livramento over a Trippier. And apart from that, I don't foresee too many changes. Maybe Tonali comes in for Willock and Longstaff might come in for Joe Linton. I think Joe Linton needs to spell out the team. If it was me doing it, I wouldn't do it that way. I would drop Joe Linton, but I would bring Tonali in and I'd have Tonali, Willock and Bruno in there for a bit more athleticism. And we're not necessarily going to be getting caught on the break as much. So maybe, I might prefer the legs or the physicality of someone like Joe Linton or Longstaff, but we'll see. In terms of a score, and I also think Gordon, by the way, would be lucky to be on the side. I'm just really not impressed with his attitude on the pitch.
Not at the races, is he?
He's just not at the races. He had his patches against Wolves where, it was starting to look a bit like the old Gordon. But he set that bar high now, and the least you require from him is a bit of effort, and it just doesn't really see like you even get.
It looks like He looks like he had his head turned by Liverpool in the summer.
He looks sulky.
So well. In terms of a score, I think we're going to get beat 3-1. I kind of see us getting.
You think we're going to score?
I do. Yeah, I do think we'll score.
Bang one in from 30 yards.
He's like the score. 3-1 Man City.
Can't be offside when you're in your half the whole time. We'll get one lucky goal on the break, maybe.
Who's left back for everyone? It's a general. Who's playing left back?
It can only really be Kelly.
Has to be Kelly.
Rather than Kelly.
It'll be Kelly.
It's trying to be Hall's not good. Yeah.
He's not good anyway. I know we have our little chit chats, but I still we have no left back. I don't understand the whole project. I really don't. I keep trying to look. Go on, defend. No, go on, run. No, not running. And then Kelly can but won't put a tackle in. It's really frustrating. Jack, what's your score prediction or any team changes?
Yeah, so team, I think Livramento will take right back because Livramento is better at defending than Trippier is. So I think that makes sense. Also, Livramento was brilliant against Man City last season in the Carabao Cup at home. That's the thing as well, right? I know we're saying, and we're pretty negative, the last 3 times we played Man City at home, we
give them a game.
We're giving them a really good game at St James's Park in the league game where De Bruyne just came up with 2 moments of magic to win it for them when we were 2-1 up.
Kieran Trippier decided to lose it for us.
Well, I think it was more just an amazing ball, to be honest. I thought Trippier was harshly punished on that one, to be fair. And then also, we beat them in the Carabao Cup 1-0. I know it was a much changed City team, but still, we changed our team as well. I think Lewis was in midfield.
100%.
So City, we have given good games. I hope it is a good game, to be fair. I just want to say something from something, like just have a go. Like, it's just not been there this season, has it? It's been hard watch. Every game's been a hard watch. So team, I think Livramento, definitely. Sherburn, will be Kelly. I'd go Tonali, Willock, Bruno as well, but it'd probably be Longstaff, Tonali, Bruno. I think Joe Linton might finally be its time to get dropped because it's a real shame. I obviously absolutely love Joe Linton and I've been raving about him a lot to loads of people, but apart from that Southampton game and the Tottenham game, he was good off the ball and then obviously came up with a killer moment in the game. Apart from that, he's been awful, to be brutally honest. So I think he needs a spell on the bench. And then the issue we've got on the left, which is the problem. Barnes and Gordon are better on the left, but Barnes is the only one delivering at the moment. So Gordon has to stay on the right, and he has to suck up with that. Also, he's got his one goal this season from the right from a Barnes cross, so he can be impactful on the right. It's just not, for whatever reason, it's just not happening. But at least I want to see some pressing. I want to see some work rate from him. And Barnes again will be the main. We've got to make the Barnes the main man on Saturday. We've got to give him the chances. He's going to be the only one who's going to get us a goal. So that'll be the team. I think we'll lose 3-2.
Oh, well, wow.
Yeah.
An exciting City game. Although we do.
That's just because Rodri's out and they will, no matter what, they will miss Rodri. I know they won their first 3 games without him, but it was almost like they knew he was there. This is different now. He's not, they know he's not there. He's not going to be there for a while. So they're going to have to change.
Best player in the world for me. And Stephen, what's your
he's unbelievable.
What's your sort of prediction, team? Any big changes? I agree with both lads have said so far.
I think we'll see what we always do from how when we're up against a team that's going to dominate the ball against us. We'll see. Well, I'm sure he'll try to set us out to play, a really compact sort of 4-5-1, and Isak will stand in the center circle the whole game and do nothing.
Literally stand.
I think there was a game. The year that we got the 21-22 season, when we got taken over, towards the 2 games before we beat Arsenal 2-0 at home, we lost 1-0 at home to Liverpool, and we never it was the most first gear, not getting out of first gear, casual stroll in the park for Liverpool that I've ever seen us play against them. I think it'll be something like that. I think it'll be maybe a 2-0 loss, is what I'll be expecting, but I think City will have 80% of the ball. I think we'll maybe get one chance remotely of any quality through Barnes. Maybe finding a break on to run onto. I think it'll be the most run of the mill, boring. City have all the ball. They take 12 shots, 11 on target. We get 1 shot not on target. Kind of loss at home. I think it'll be hard to watch. 1, because City are boring. And 2, because I don't currently have any confidence in this Newcastle side to do anything other than not be at their best and not even try and give their best half the time, it looks like. I'm sure they want to, and I'm sure they would probably say different, but based on performances on the pitch, I don't think we're going to have those chances to try and threaten them. I like the optimism of a 3-2, but they're going to set out with, like they have in sort of half their games this season, they'll set up with a 3 at the back, and they will just dominate everything. It'll be probably, it might be the most depressing result of the season so far, purely because of how boring a game it'll also be.
Yep. Pep Guardiola has destroyed football. My only wish in this match is that A, that I'll stay awake, but B, is if I see Haaland wasting time and getting corners in the 80th minute again, I'll lose my shit. He's done it just twice, I think, now in a row. Him and Foden dance around the ball and just getting corners again and again and again and again. I admire Haaland. I really like him, and he's a shithouse. But when he does it to me, I hate it.
I want Fabian Schär to launch himself into a challenge and 2-foot his knee.
Yeah, well,
that's what I want.
No, because then Arsenal win the league. So
yeah, that's worse.
I'd rather that than a roving mound of plastic win it 5 times in a row.
Unfortunately, it's
no one cares.
It is bad either way.
Because they've got one is awful. I can't tell you one Man City fan that's not in Oasis. The rest of them you never hear them. Arsenal fans are just awful. They're just awful human beings. Right, and I think we'll get bad 4-0. I think we'll get bad 4-0. I just can't see. And like you say, it's the despair. I have no hope. Since the takeover,
it's like the good old days.
Yeah, it's like when Brucey Ball and Rafa Ball. It's like, oh God, it's going to be
At least with
packing-
Rafa ball, we knew we'd be
And
defending.
Rafa, we did have not the worst results against teams like City under Rafa.
Man City
But
at
it's-
home under Rafa, didn't
We'd
we?
have beat City.
But it was still like being smothered like for just an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Yeah.
In my week, because I've got nothing, because I'm a pathetic human being. It's the 2 hours of the week that I love, and I sit down and enjoy it. I just can't see myself.
Hard to enjoy the minute. But
Yeah,
I
it
actually
really
see it
is.
the other way. I reckon Newcastle the crowd will be, frustrated, backing them, and I think they might actually try and come out quite quick. And I think where they will get undone is Newcastle committing men forward. And trying to get bodies forward and trying to be positive. I don't see Newcastle. That's the way I see the game going initially at the start. It may well turn into Newcastle dropping off.
After 5 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, and then we'll see players like Oscar Bob score.
Oscar Bob's out. Oscar Bob is out. He's not available.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oscar Bob, he's out. Ake will be out. As far as I know, De Bruyne is a doubt. He's doubtful. Rodri's obviously out.
I don't think De Bruyne is going to play.
No, he's got his weird sort of groin hip thing going on again, so he might be out. But at least there's no Oscar Bob to make an established veteran like Kieran Trippier look awful. Yeah, I still think, regardless of them missing their stars, I think we're playing so badly that
that's it.
There is just no hope.
We have to be at our best to lay a glove on them, and we are genuinely relegated. The way we're playing, relegation form, but obviously the table says differently. Wow, this has been depressing, isn't it?
We can end on one. There is one positive note we can end it on. If anyone who didn't watch it, the Lasses beat Sheffield United 2-0 recently.
Hey,
So
there we go.
at least if you watch Newcastle United women, they can play competent, coherent football at the moment.
Well, there we go, guys. Well, thank you all for joining. If you made it this far, like, share, and subscribe. Really appreciate it. Comment below who you think is going to win the weekend. Yeah, until next time, take care, everyone.